Hey YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Part 3 of my Furitek Komodo 1400 kV motor and Furitek Lizard ESC test and review videos. And in this video I will change the settings of the punch in the ESC from 3, what's factory settings, to punch 10 and also to punch 1, what's the smallest and highest settings you can do, and we will see how this changes RPMs and throttle response. And finally we will test all those settings in the truck with the Furitek motor in an SCX24 and also play around a little bit with the throttle curve. And now let's make the next test and change the settings in the Furitek Lizard ESC. Punch 10, go forward, 2, 4, 6, 30, starts to run at 30, goes back to 28, 28, 36, 26, 36, 24, 36, 22, stop, 24, 26, 28, starts at 30 with 36 RPM, so 32, 38, 58, 97, 98, 96, 61, the big jump, wow, and that's a huge jump now, that's to 3,490, 3,490, wow, what a jump. And now 58 again, goes to 94 again, and 60, 3,490, wow, that's the punch. 62, 3,550. 118, 4,917, and 120, 4,957, 55, 56. And let's go to minus now. Minus 2, 4, 32, 4, 36. Starts at 36 with 61 RPM. 34 stops. So in reverse direction it stops immediately. No back steps. 36, 50, 60, 38, 65, 89, 46, 101, and now 48. Wow, 3,520, 48. I go back to 46, 100, and minus 48, 3,503 now. Minus 50, 3,590, 3,590. Minus 118, minus 6,060, and minus 120, also 6,060. So here's now the graph of the Komodo motor with the Furitek Lizard ESC and punch 10 instead of punch 3, what was factory setting. The low speed behavior seems to be about the same as with punch 3, but check the jump. While in the factory settings the jump was from around 100 to about 1000, Now this RPM jump within one step here from 56 to 58 goes from around 100 to about 3,500. That's a huge difference. Don't know if this would have any advantage, but let's test first, before talking about all this, the ESC with punch setting only 1, so the lowest setting, and then let's compare the results of factory settings punch 3 with those settings here punch 10 and with punch 1. From punch 10 now to the lowest value punch 1. 2, 4, 6, 26, 8, 30. Starts at 30 with 36 RPM. If I go back to 28, still runs in forward 36 RPM. 26 still runs, no change, 36 RPM. 24 still runs, 36 RPM, no change. 22 stops. So I go forward again, 24, 6, 8, 30. Starts at 30, again with 36. 32, 38.4, 39. 34, 40 RPM, 58, 90, about 95, now 98, 94, 95 RPM. 60, it cocks. So punch 1, it cocks at 60. A lot of cocking, 400, 300, cocking. 62, still cocking. 64 runs smoothly with 187 RPM now. This seems nice. 66, super smooth with 275, 250, 263, 250, 280. 68, 410 RPM. 70, 475 RPM. Wow. 72, 623 RPM. 74, 800 RPM. 80, 1059 RPM. So that's super interesting. There seems to be no jump. 82, 1140 RPM. 116, 2243. 118, 2285. And 120, 2306. So no jump with punch 1. Let's confirm this again. I'm back now. I'm 30, 26, 24, 22, 4, 6, 8, 30 starts. I go up 40, 56, 58, 60. There's cocking at 60. No, it was 62 and 64. It's runs smooth. 62 cocking and 60 cocking. I don't know how this will affect the running behavior, but this seems awesome. Check this out. Super smooth startup from 0 to 120. Only with cogging around 60.
Center point.
And now let's try this in reverse. Minus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Minus 32, minus 34 does not start. Minus 36 does start, and if I go back, it stops. Starts at minus 36. 59 RPM, minus 38. 64. Minus 46. 103. Minus 48. Cocking 300. Cocking. Minus 48. Cocking. Minus 46. Smooth. Minus 48. Cocking. Minus 50. Again smooth. 50. 48. Cocking. Something 200, whatever. Minus 50. 230. Minus 52. 386. Minus 54. 573. 74. Minus 116. 3771. Minus 118. 3810. Minus 120. 3838.
Center point.
Wow. No jump. So here now the graph, the results of the measurements of the Furitek Komodo motor and the Lizard ESC with setting punch 1. And what you can see here immediately, there is no huge step. So the throttle or RPM increase seems to be more constant and there's not one huge step. But what you can also see here, those parts, I try to show it that way, that's the cocking at 60-62 in forward direction and at 48, I guess it was in reverse direction. So we will see if this affects driving performance. Let's check this a little larger now. You can see this here, the throttle increase at low input is smooth as it was before. I also had no constant RPMs at 48 during measurements, but then at 60 there was huge cocking in forward direction. You saw and heard this in the recording, in the video, and in reverse it was at minus 48, and then the increase, the incline seems to be quite smooth. Big surprise that there is no step at all, no RPM step of 1000 or even 3000 as we have seen at the settings punch 3, what's factory settings at punch 10, but there is this cocking. And so let's compare all three. That's probably the most interesting graph of all. And here on this graph you see in red the Komodo with the ESC with stock settings punch 3, and in dark red with punch 10 of the Lizard ESC, and in this greenish color with punch 1. And what you can see here, the increase of throttle curves seems to be about the same, the incline. But punch 3 factory settings have a huge step of around 900 RPM immediately within one click in forward and reverse. And punch 10, in punch 10, that's nearly 3000 RPM, unbelievable. And in punch 1 in green here, this huge step is missing, but there is this cocking. Let's see this graph a little larger too. So what you can see, throttle response at very low input, this super smooth, awesome crawling performance at super low speed seems to be nearly exactly the same in all settings. Only in the setting punch 1 I had at 48 no constant RPM. That was not a cocking, but RPM values changed only at 48. But in all other values from 30, where all of those three different settings started with RPMs up to 58 or 60, was super smooth in all three settings. In reverse direction, exactly the same. You see, starts to turn at 36 and then either jump or cocking after 46 at 48. And then there comes the jump in punch settings 3 and 10, the RPM jump, and in punch setting 1 there is no jump. At this one step there is a big and loud cocking, and then the increase of the RPMs seems to be constant without any big steps or anything. So this is super interesting in my opinion. So punch 1 seems to be a perfect setting if there wouldn't be this cocking thing, and therefore to check how this affects driving performance I will have to check this with the Furitek motor and the Lizard ESC in an SCX24. So let's put the motor into a SCX24 chassis and check how these three different punch settings 3, 10 and 1 perform in the truck. So I've mounted the Furitek Komodo kit now to this SCX24. I've mounted it with motor in reverse direction, what seems probably to meant that way because I didn't have to reverse throttle or motor direction. Forward is forward and reverse is reverse, as it was in my tests. And now it's in stock settings, which with punch 3, and I will not show you punch 1 and punch 10 now, because again, once again, it's now more than 11 p.m. and for more than 2 hours now I try to connect the Furitek ESC to my smartphone. I did also try my old smartphone as last time, which seems to work better normally. I don't know what the problem is and I don't know what I do wrong. Maybe some of you guys could tell me what I could do wrong. It was already 3 months ago. The same with my old Furitek Lizards. I did have sometimes big troubles to connect it to the Bluetooth device. It took ages and then suddenly it worked. 2 days ago it worked. When I made all the tests, now it does not work again. And that's a 6-year-old, my old smartphone, which seemed to work better. And you see I connected tons of Bluetooth devices to this smartphone without any problems, and I don't know what the problem is with the Furitek Bluetooth device. And it did already work with my actual smartphone, that's also not old, 1.5 years. And please tell me what to do. And now I'm quite upset because trying for more than 2 hours now, letting it stay behind, switch off, switch on, everything does not work. So I will make a further video in the next days if I succeed to connect the Bluetooth device or the ESC to one of my smartphones again and change settings. So I mounted it in reverse direction. Of course, I cut battery compartment. Have to take care of the wires. That's not the final solution. If I would mount it finally, I would have to secure the wires, battery wire or whatever, not to touch the motor. And yes, check the motor. You will see the motor start to run again. We are now at 26, 24 stops, 26, 28, 30. It starts to run at 30. And here you see this absolutely awesome, super slow crawl, it looks really fantastic.
Center point.
But of course, that's not how we would crawl normally. So you would have to use your trigger finger super smooth and not to come to the point where the huge RPM jump starts. And that's normally we wouldn't crawl that way. So this RPM jump starts quite soon. So now we are at 30 again. You see, motor runs, tires turn super slow. $58, $60, $62, $64.
Center point.
And there are a lot of options in the settings. You can also not only change punch, but throttle curve and play around a little bit, and that's what I want. There are two parameters, again punch on the throttle curve and point. I don't know if I can show this to you now, or if it, come on, it tries to connect. Does it connect? No. So not my day. And I will do a follow-up video and try to show you the different settings of throttle curve and punch when the truck is set up with this system and can crawl. As you can see here, in normal crawling you wouldn't use this super slow speed because that's quite difficult to achieve with your finger. You will crawl in this manner, and that way it crawls nicely, but is not able, for example, on stock settings with punch 3, come on, to climb this. Maybe it would be able to do it with punch 10, we will see. Let's do this once again because it's so cool, but it's hard. There I probably could use X or something to have a longer way for the trigger to have this super slow crawling behavior. And here in the higher RPMs it's super nice, but by far not that slow. And I would be most interested in punch 1 now, how punch 1 behaves in the truck, but I'm not able to do it now. 11:30 nearly, and I will finish this video and make a part 4 as soon as I succeed to connect this device to Bluetooth again, and then we will check punch 1 and punch 9 in the truck. So far, let's watch it once again. In super slow, you see best is to use trim. Because it's hard to do with the index finger. And this looks absolutely fantastic, of course. But if you're running this truck in, normally you won't do it that way. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. I'll be back.